Thank you, Ehtisham, for coming on the show. Really glad to have you on the show. Let me give a quick introduction of Ehtisham. He's currently working at Netflix, which is, I'm sure everyone knows about these days. You're a research scientist or a data scientist that they call, and you're working in the most the most in demand skills these days, which is machine learning and AI. Yattasham is also one of closest in my circle, who's the first one to buy a Porsche. So मुझे याद है in my memories that I saw you were very into games, car games and racing games. So maybe I want to start with that, like playing those games to finally buying something with your own money and driving that. What's that feeling like? And which Porsche do you have?
Yeah, so yeah, I think that's a good connection. And like many people these days, they ask, like, why didn't you buy a Tesla? It's like similar value, maybe more futuristic, etc. And I just tell them that I don't have any emotional attachment with Tesla because we never grew up with Tesla as a brand. It's like a new phenomenon. Maybe like kids these days, they would associate it with better. So we grew up with like Porsche and like these cars, which we used to have in Need for Speed and these kind of games. So I have a Porsche Panamera. It's a nice car. I got it in late 2019.
So let's talk a little bit about Netflix. The Netflix is obviously one of the most famous, well-known companies. And not only that, I think it's one of the highest paid employer in Bay Area, which in itself is, pays, has the best talent and pays the best salaries in the world. And Netflix is kind of on top of that, which is no secret. Reed Hastings himself tells about it. And then in addition to that, you're working on cutting edge technology. You have the one of the best data sets in the world. And finally, the cherry on top, you probably have the most talented people working around you. So is it overwhelming or is it fun? What type of feeling is it to work in such an organization?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because I think I really connected with the way Netflix used to describe their work culture, which was that they are a professional sports team. So everyone, like in a professional sports team, like there's PSL going on right now in Pakistan. So they hire like these top players, like whoever they can afford, like the best of the best. And then they come together in a team and then they do their best. So I have a similar feeling that, yeah, what people bring in Netflix is that they're kind of like uh, superstar contributors in their areas. And when they come together in a team, they bring the professionalism, and it's a lot of fun to work with these people.
Right, perfect. I've heard and I was reading Reed Hastings' book recently, No Rules Rules. So it's a must read, I think, for every executives and people working in business. Like one of the very interesting things he was mentioning, and generally is mentioned, okay, they have this very infamous new hire deck, which some people are like, yaar, kitni kamal philosophy hai. This is the place where I want to work in, and but some people are scared. So when did you read that deck as well, what went through your mind? Did you really like the culture?
Yeah, at that time, so I've been at Netflix for more than 8 years now, and things have changed. When I joined, it wasn't as international, as global as it is now. It was probably only in um, US, Canada, Latin America, and those countries. So as it has become a more global company, things may have changed now. So I'm not like fully aware like how it is right now. But at that time, they would ask any candidate who's basically coming for an on-site interview to go through the slide deck because the HR business partner, when they interview, they would question you and ask like, what do you think about the philosophy expressed in that slide deck? So as I mentioned, like it talks about like this philosophy that so that version of the slide deck, they may have modified it now. I haven't seen the latest version. So the original version of the slide deck, it used to say that Netflix, like this company is not a family because like lots of companies they talk about like they're a family,
Yeah.
etc. They say themselves that this is a sports team where you need to perform well. So and if you don't perform well, if you're an average contributor, you get an above average severance package. So that's the terminology that they used in that.
Deck.
So it's a it's a document I think which connected with me, and I wanted to learn. I wanted to do do some good work, and I think it's yeah. To me, it was very motivating. But I've heard that some people find it's a little daunting.
So I'm going to take you down the memory lane a little bit. So I want to talk a little bit about where did you went to school? What type of student were you? And were there any important influences that you remember today?
So I grew up. So like the early part of my childhood, I was in Sargodha.
Mhm.
So and in Sargodha, I went to the school, which was the name of that school was Progressive Public School. And then we moved to Lahore in '96. So when I was in grade 7, I moved to Lahore. And then I went to the school, which is called as the Punjab School. So I did my matriculation there and then moved to government college and then UET. I think the biggest influence, I personally think like the influences that video games and like the ideas that those video games represented, it had a big influence in my career decisions, in my pursuit of this particular field that I work in. I'd like to mention like one like very important thing, which some people find like some people may find it surprising, that in my statement of purpose that we used to write for grad schools, the opening lines of that statement of purpose, it basically described. So there was this, you must have known, and many people know about like this game Metal Gear Solid 2. So in
Mhm.
Metal Gear Solid 2, so Sons of Liberty, so that game, it described an AI system. It described the future where there exists an AI system, and what that AI system does, it ingests all the information from the world, and then it decides what information to pass on to the world and what information to filter out. So,
Mhm.
and based on that, so the idea was that it wanted to shape the next generation based on the ideas that it sees fit, and it felt that the information and the data is perhaps the most valuable way through which you can shape the coming generations. And
Mhm.
so it basically had this like crazy idea, and I think like really like far ahead idea. So
Mhm.
that really connected with me, and my opening lines in my statement of purpose was basically describing that system. That really influenced me to think about like AI and stuff. And I remember then like looking up, so I was really into computer science. I remember like for my undergrad degree, I was confused taking computer science as undergrad or electrical engineering. And I remember looking at MIT's electrical engineering department. So it's called as electrical engineering computer science. So I felt that there's a big overlap between the two fields. So I
Mhm.
may just like do electrical engineering and I'll gain the benefits of computer science as well. And that turned out to be a good decision actually, because one thing that I like in engineering curriculum is that it's a little bit more math oriented compared to computer science,
Mhm.
which helps you a lot in machine learning and these AI fields. So you're not just like working on programming and algorithm, you're focusing a lot on calculus as well.
How was the UET experience? 4 years at UET. Did any transformation happen for you? Yeah, were you at a constant during the whole time?
Yeah, with UET, I have mixed memories. So some of, I mean, I met with amazing people, including you and a, a few other friends. So that's the good part. So it was kind of a very independent styled um, um, institution. It used to be like a term system, but just one big exam at the end, no assignments, no distribution of grades over the whole quarter or term, which actually doesn't motivate you to work hard throughout the term. You can choose to work hard if you want. If you like the course enough, you can dig deep and be good at it. But there is no compulsion from the structure of the program. So I felt even myself, who was, I considered myself like as a serious person, like was into studies and like the electrical engineering field. I felt that I perhaps could have done better if there was a little bit more structure to the program at that time.
When did you start thinking about अच्छा यार अब यूनिवर्सिटी के बाद क्या करना है seriously?
I spent a little bit of time in the Al Khwarizmi Research Institute that we had in UET. And there
Hmm.
was this one senior fellow who was working there as a research assistant or something, was going to Georgia Tech at
Hmm.
that time. And I connected with him. He felt that you should pursue higher studies and maybe you should like take your GRE as soon as possible.
तभी पता चला था कि scholarships type भी मिल जाती हैं बाहर पढ़ने के लिए and things like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
around that time.
yeah. Like so, he was going on Fulbright. So Fulbright was like a prestigious scholarship. So he said that you should apply for that maybe before you even your graduation, so that you don't waste any time.
अच्छा, around that time फिर I think I lost in touch with you क्योंकि जब graduate हुए हैं उसके
Yeah.
बाद तो इतना contact नहीं रहता. तो I was just looking at your profile. तो तुमने फिर teaching शुरू की, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And was that a conscious decision because you had in your mind कि तुमने further studies करनी है बाहर जाके, या what was the motivation behind going into teaching?
So teaching felt like that I'll stay connected with the community who are academic, want to pursue like academic goals. So, and you have like some spare time when you're not teaching to focus on your self-study, like GRE preparation, etc.
सही. फिर तुमने अपना GRE दिया and now you're applying to different universities. उस जमाने में scholarships भी होती थी, Fulbright and other things as well. तो कौन से different routes तुमने choose किया apply करने के लिए? Any important lessons in that as well?
Yeah, I applied for Fulbright. I interviewed for Fulbright. I did not get Fulbright. I was, I think, on the waiting list or something for Fulbright, but I got admission in University of Maryland and University of Michigan. Now the question was how to get funding. So with University of Michigan, I was able to get funding from like Professor Alfred Hero, like amazing guy, top of signal processing that area. So, and because of that, I chose University of Michigan for my grad school.
Funding कैसे मिली? Once you got an admission, did you start emailing the professors over there? Yeah, what was the
Yeah,
process?
so that's interesting. Yeah, so basically, like I was into when I was looking at like what do I want to do in my graduate studies. So I started visiting LUMS, and there was this Professor Abu Bakr Muhammad. I think he's still there in LUMS. So he was like a great guy, top achiever, did his PhD in Georgia Tech. So he was in this area called as topology, algebraic topology. And it's a very mathematically abstract field. So I was into that. So he lent me a book. So I studied the book. I learned the software as well that he would use to compute these topological features of these high dimensional shapes. And then so Professor Alfred Hero, who was at University of Michigan, he was also interested in doing some research in this area. He had done like some work in this area. So as you remember, like when we have to like go to a particular school, you need to like scan through like what different professors are doing and whose research interests you feel that you are aligned with the most. So his research interest in algebraic topology, there was like a good connection. I contacted him that I'm interested in this. So I told him that maybe my Fulbright will come through and I'll just come and I'll just sit in your lab and see like if I like the area. But when I did not get the Fulbright funding, then I told him that I don't have the funding now, but I still want to come. And so if you can offer me a research assistantship, that would help me get to the school. So he offered me and that was the start of my journey to University of Michigan.
तो तुम्हारा जब एडमिशन हो गया और फंडिंग का भी ईमेल जिस दिन आई तो क्या फीलिंग थी? Or did you start?
Oh my God, that was, yeah, I was ecstatic. Because I did not get Fulbright, so I tried, I had the admission, I tried applying for visa, but I got rejected because the funding support was not sound enough. So actually, like after I get,
this is after you got the admission.
Yeah. So I got the admission to University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. So I applied. So did not get Fulbright. So tried to arrange funds on my own. Applied for a US visa. The visa officer did not believe that I had sound financial support to pursue my program. So my idea was that, like similar to many people, like you go on your own funding for a year or something, and then try to find like some research assistantship during that time, and it works. But I did not have enough like sound funding to to pursue that opportunity. So after like getting rejected by visa, really disheartened, and in fact maybe like my world is over. And then I sent an email to professor. I told him that yeah, I cannot come like if I don't have funding. So this is something I really want to pursue. And then like within like two within like so after I got rejected, sent an email within few days, like my funding was arranged, applied for
Wow,
visa again in a month, got the US visa. So yeah, like a magical 180-degree turn.
that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
That's a very interesting. So did you start surfing the internet, seeing what is Michigan, what does it look like, what is the university like,
yeah,
before even going over there? सारा imagine करना शुरू हो गए.
yeah, yeah. I was really enamored. I mean, Ann Arbor was a great town. The university campus is so yeah, it's a very old campus. Like they have two campuses, like one which is old and the other one which is new. The old one is like fascinating, looks like out of Harry Potter movies. So and the town is very yeah nice. One mistake which I would recommend, like no one else to repeat ever, is to not contact people that have like some sort of connection with you and were there already in that school. So if let's say you have some UET alumni who are at the school that you're going to, do contact them, because that initial support and this initial comfort that you get with in a completely strange land, like things like are very very different. You are suddenly you are left, because I remember like he dropped me off at my house where I was staying. So I was the only one. The house was completely empty. It was Ramadan. I was fasting, and I did not know a thing about cooking. So just imagine a completely empty house. You have one carpet, one pillow, one blanket, and a frying pan, and some potatoes and stuff. Don't have a driving license. You don't know like how to get
Mhm.
around anywhere further than we can do by walk. So that was when it hit me really hard that okay, this is not easy.
Yeah.
And I remember, yeah, maybe like I was about to cry that this is not easy. I mean, like
Mhm.
you're in an empty house and you're fasting, and I think like all those things, like yeah, that made it very very hard.
और usually ये पाकिस्तान स्टूडेंट एसोसिएशंस या मुस्लिम स्टूडेंट एसोसिएशंस भी होती हैं एंड
Yeah,
आई या एग्जैक्टली if they're very helpful as well, so if you contact
yeah.
them तो आपका थोड़ा वो अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस काफी हो जाएगा. अच्छा तो you know how was the education over there, and I think you're into probability and all of that sort जो हमारे करिकुलम में इतनी नहीं पढ़ाई जाती. Was it daunting, or how did you
Oh yeah,
cope?
it
क्या
was.
experience?
Yeah, combined with all the shock that you get that now you're on your own, like even to eat, to survive, you need to put an effort for that. Things that you take completely for granted when you are in the comfort of your parents' home. So combine all of that with very, very hard coursework, things that you have not put a lot of effort in your undergrad. So yeah, I remember, yeah, like that was like the first semester was very, very like hard on me, like emotionally, and I lost a lot of weight. And yeah, it was like very, very hard. I mean, I remember like within a few weeks, I had already bought tickets to visit Pakistan at the end of semester, like in my winter break. So when I went to Lahore, I think I got like some thinking to do. Like, yeah, things are not like going well. But like, what are the things that I need to change? I think the first thing that I need to change is to create a good environment around myself. So when I came back from my winter break, back for second semester, second term, at University of Michigan, the first thing I did was to look for like a comfortable like bedding, things that you maybe like a TV as well. It's not necessary, but let's say a bike, because I mean, I have my bike at the back as well. I used to like biking even in
Mhm.
Lahore, so I thought maybe I should have a bike here as well. I'll enjoy like riding around this beautiful Ann Arbor. So like
Mhm.
things that I like and things that that make you comfortable.
Mhm.
I started taking like cooking seriously, starting cooking myself. So and yeah, I think after that things became a little easy.
अच्छा, so let's move towards your last leg. ऐसे so the first job that you did after Michigan was where did you go?
Change.org.
अच्छा, change.org गए, वहाँ फिर कितना अरसा रहे?
I stayed there for 11 months.
And this was where? Was this in San Francisco?
Was in San Francisco, yeah.
You were applying now in Netflix. तो थोड़ा कि क्यों फिर start किया apply करना Netflix का? What appealed you, and what was the interview process like?
So I was very active going to, so we have these meetups. So meetups, like it's an online like socializing platform where I used to go to machine learning meetups. So my hiring manager, who later hired me at Netflix, he gave a presentation. So, and I like after the presentation, so during the presentation, I asked some interesting questions from him. And then after the presentation, I connected with him.
Was there anything unique during the interviews या normal जैसे बाकी जगहों पे होते हैं वैसा ही था?
So most of the questions were based on things that were relevant to the problem that you would solve at Netflix. So they were more interested in how you would adapt your machine learning knowledge to solve something of that is valuable to Netflix. So more interviews were focused around that. But there were like some interviews which were around like programming as well, more traditional. But most of the interviews were around Netflix and like the problems at Netflix and how you apply machine learning to solve them.
I guess one final question. What would you recommend to students nowadays if they want to work in these top firms? Should they start very early on trying to discover these things? क्योंकि अब मतलब कि ज़्यादा resources भी हैं available. How should they start focusing on different things so that they make it to these firms?
Yeah, I think that the quality of publications and the quality of research work which is happening these days, it's like insane. It's really, really high quality. So you can only reach that level if you, I would suggest people who are interested in this area to exhaust like all easily available resources, like take Coursera. Coursera has tons of courses on Coursera around machine learning, modeling, and yeah, in this area. So exhaust all those resources, like learn them.
Specifically for AI and machine learning, which I think is the new frontier, and a lot of money is going to be put into that field all across the world.
Yeah.
Do you want to comment on a little bit about their freely available data sets, Kaggle जैसे resources हैं, or competitions that happen? Are there things like that? Kaggle was a while ago when I started doing it a little bit. Are there new things now that students can start exploring today?
Yeah, I think Kaggle is still a great resource. They keep on organizing competitions. That's a great way to become good at problem solving. And so Kaggle has tons of data sets, and then different fields, they have like open source data set available, like my field, recommendation systems, personalization. We have the Netflix data set, which got me started and got me interested in industrial applications of machine learning.
But one of the very interesting things that I found was that there are certain games, as a Mario Brothers thi and Pac-Man thi, where you can find the code and you can program the algorithm so that it tries to learn and maneuver by itself. Final question, maybe more for me than folks, but maybe for specialized people who are working in this field. What do you think now is kind of like the challenging problems that you're trying to fix with AI or machine learning? Is it unsupervised learning? या किस में आप ज़्यादा उसमें हो?
I mean, there are, I think, open problems everywhere, but there is like this open field, which is explainability and fairness of machine learning. So now machine learning systems, they are being deployed and they're impacting real people, like Netflix recommendation systems. When you open Netflix, like there is an algorithm which is basically deciding like what homepage to show to which user. So there could be like fairness aspects to the application of machine learning for humans. And also, so in the Netflix use case, is Netflix algorithm fair to all the items, all the movies in the catalog? Is it giving every movie equal opportunity or a fair opportunity to be exposed to people? And similarly, like to different demographics. So I find that area very fascinating, explainability and fairness. First, that it's impacting real people in a way which is going to be more important. It's a big field and very open field because people are now feeling that there are like kind of like negative sides as well to machine learning and AI when they are applied on real humans. So so this is like one area that I have been working on for a few months now, and I'm enjoying working on it. And it's an open area. I really enjoy working on it.
Thank you very much, Ehtasham. यार बहुत मजा आया. I enjoyed the conversation thoroughly, and I'm sure there are important lessons for everyone to learn from this, from these journeys. And we wish you good luck for your future as well.
Thank you so much, Hani. Always a pleasure. We connected last year in person after many years, and then after that, hope to see you soon in person, and let's continue to have conversations.
जी माय गेस्ट टुडे इज वकास अली। हमने यूईटी इकट्ठे की थी, अंडरग्रेड किया था इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग, और आजकल ये इंटेल में है। जब पहली दफ़ा काम किया इंटेल में या बिल्डिंग में घुसे एंड नोइंग इंटेल आई गेस फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम, वो कैसी फीलिंग थी?
To sum it in a one sentence, it was wonderful. Now we सेंटर जाते थे हम कॉलेज डेज में, यूनिवर्सिटी डेज में, वहाँ पे अच्छा कौन सा प्रोसेसर लगवाना है, इंटेल का पेंटियम लगवाना है या सेलेरॉन लगवाना है, तो वो all those things were coming back to mind and when I was going there, shortlist की कि अच्छा जी 5 ही यूनिवर्सिटीज में अप्लाई करना है, और 5 यूनिवर्सिटीज में जो 2 यूनिवर्सिटीज रखी हैं वो ड्रीम यूनिवर्सिटीज है मेरी, फिर 2 में हैं वो मेजॉरिटी यूनिवर्सिटीज रखी, फिर और जो 2 जो थी वो ऐसी रखी कि शोर शॉर्ट है कि यहाँ पे हो ही जाएगा। पीएचडी में जो एडमिशन होता है इट्स कम्प्लीटली फंडेड।